I love my male audience. I'm always happy to put out films that garner a good response from a strong male audience.
Nerdrotic.com.
Scarlett Johansson criticizes Black Widow's hypersexualization in Iron Man 2. Now, Scarlett Johansson, she's a good actress. She's a good pretender. So I'm not going to say she's just eye candy, all right? But we'll see how her roles are going when she hits that big 40. I like ScarJo. I imagine she said this just to stay in the club, stay as part of the club that you and I will never be in, nor do I want to be. And quite frankly, I liked her Black Widow in Iron Man 2. I think her Black Widow is one of the best things of Iron Man 2. And the Black Widow is a femme fatale. She's supposed to be sexy. The reason the Black Widow was even in the MCU is it fit. They had access to the character. They didn't have access to a lot of the female characters. She was the most well-known. But let's talk about the Black Widow from the comics real quick. Black Widow from the comics is a character every average Marvel comic book fan knows, but it's never been a major character. She's always been B or C list. She was a teammate of Daredevil for a while when it was Daredevil and the Black Widow. But her popularity leveled up when Frank Miller had her in the Daredevil run. Frank Miller leveled up a lot of characters. The Punisher, Black Widow, Daredevil. Took a silly villain called Bullseye and turned him into one of the best fucking villains they have. And quite frankly, took the Kingpin to new heights. They did a Marvel Knights Black Widow series, which I think the movie might be using a bit from what I know, which was pretty good. But never one of my favorite characters, never one of the worst characters, but she's a damn good version of it. How well would the Avengers have done if they put her in a potato sack? Well, they practically did in Endgame. They put a piece of metal over her boobs. I'm sure you all caught that. Her costumes look terrible towards the end. And this uglying down of really hot women is fascinating to watch because people are like, I want Hollywood to burn. Oh, they're going to. Fact of the matter, though, is if ScarJo has an award show to go to tomorrow, how's she going to be dressed? Oh, she'll be in a $25,000 to $125,000 revealing dress with about $100,000 worth of jewelry on, and her boobs will be perky.
That's it! That's it! I've been such a good boy lately!
She won't be walking around in a gray jumpsuit. Let's just say that. Johansson specifically took issue with what she describes as the character's hypersexualization in Iron Man 2 in a newly published interview with Collider, of course. Johansson is prompted by Collider to discuss the topic when asked, sort of sexualization of superheroes. How did that affect Black Widow? And she responded, yeah, I'll be 35 years old and I'm a mom and my life is different. Obviously, 10 years have passed and things have happened and I have a much different, more evolved understanding of myself. She went on, as a woman, can we just stop this forever? Just drop the as a. I know what you are. I'm in a different place in my life, and I felt more giving of myself as a woman and not sometimes probably not enough. I'm more accepting of myself, I think. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Johansson went on to discuss the hypersexualization of Black Widow and Iron Man 2. All of that is related to the move away from that kind of hypersexualization of the character. And I mean, you look back at Iron Man 2 and while it was really fun and I had a lot of great moments in it, the character was so sexualized, Yeah, that paycheck was good too, wasn't it? Wasn't the paycheck good? Pretty sure the paycheck was good. She continued, really talked about like she's a piece of something, like a possession or a thing or whatever, like a piece of ass, really. And Tony even refers to her as something like that at one point. What does he say?
I want one.
No.
And at that point, calls her a piece of meat.
What?
Okay, context is king, as we all know. We all know that the context of that scene was Tony was being an idiot because that piece of meat was distracting him and was in control the whole time. Context. And the whole point of that line is when the character speaks it, the audience goes, she's more than a piece of meat. She's a dangerous piece of meat. Johansson elaborated, maybe I even would have, my own self-worth was probably measured against the type of comment or like a lot of young women, you come into your own and you understand your own self-worth. It's changing now. Well, obviously ScarJo has not been to therapy because you are supposed to use your I statements there. I would say that Scarlett Johansson knows damn well why she got roles, and she shouldn't have to apologize for it. If fucking Collider asks you that kind of question, I don't know, just say, yeah. Did you see my costume? Did you see my cleavage the whole time? Yeah, it's part of the gig. As she concluded, now people, young girls, are getting much more positive message, but it's been incredible to be a part of that shift and be able to come out the other side and be a part of that old story, but also progress, evolve. I think it's pretty cool. Well, evolving is cool, ScarJo. I completely agree. I think she just wants to keep her job. That's why I call them adult pretenders. These are scripted. Now, as far as the hypersexualization that she was led into by Collider, you better start hypersexualizing shit soon, Hollywood. People go to the movies to see things they wouldn't normally see in real life. That's part of the fantasy. It's part of the escapism. And Hollywood is wondering why it's in trouble right now. And that's why it is the best time to be an independent creator. There's a but behind this, though, because now there are stories that people are hungry for that Hollywood will refuse to tell. And these, the number is growing. Sword and sorcerer and sandals fantasy. There's no way Hollywood could make a proper sword and sorcerer and sandals fantasy, period. Certain science fiction you can't make now. Certain action movies you can't make now. Biggest problem is with making your own stuff on that front is money, obviously. And no matter what you crowdfund, how do you get it to people? It's not like a comic, but there is an opportunity, at least for publishing. Like if you're going to write a novel, now is the best time you will ever have. Back in November 2019, she appeared on the Hollywood Reporter's Oscar Actress Roundtable, where she said she regretted being typecast as hypersexualized. She answered the question from the Hollywood Reporter Rebecca Ford, who asked, "I'm curious, how important is it for all of you to shift what people expect based on your choices?" Johansson responds, "It's so different now. The climate is so different now. There are so many wonderful opportunities for women of every age to play all different types of people." Because there wasn't that opportunity 10 years ago. She believed she was typecast. "I feel when I was working in my early 20s and even in my late teens and early 20s, I felt I got somehow typecast. I was very hypersexualized. It was kind of crafted for me by probably a bunch of dudes in the industry, and I guess that worked then. But it was certainly difficult for me to try to figure out how to get out of being an ingenuine or the other woman or the..." I don't even know what that word is. Scarlett got into the industry because she was hot. And now she's having to go through the song of dance that I regret being hot. I am sorry I was beautiful. I'm sorry that all of my working out and, being born beautiful happened. I want to shame myself for being beautiful. I'm sorry for having these really big knockers. I apologize. I'll put a metal plate over them in the next Avengers movie so people won't feel bad. ScarJo, you be proud of those knockers, okay? You be proud of yourself. You don't apologize for anything. You don't apologize for being hot. What does the world come to?
If you like what I do here, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing the videos. It really does help. And if you did this with your favorite YouTuber as well, I'm sure they would appreciate it as much as I do.